Good morning. I'm getting better, I think. Making a masterpiece, the story of a Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, I usually don't read about the games, but now let's try. He has been called a masterpiece, one that almost single-handedly created a US market for role-playing video games. More than 25 years after it was first released, people are still playing Final Fantasy VII. With the success of its earlier Final Fantasy games in the late 1980s and early 1990s, game company Square had become one of the top developers for Nintendo, and series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi had become a legend. Production on the seventh Final Fantasy started in late 1995. Regular series designer Yoshitaka Amano had become busy with other work, making room for Tetsuya Nomura to lead the character design. The result was a fresh look for the late 90s. The game introduced 3D graphics to the series, while the music by Nobuo Uematsu became more complex. The story also moved away from a focus on forests, caves, and castles to a more futuristic world. Final Fantasy VII had been intended for a new Nintendo system that would replace the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, or Super Famicom as it was known in Japan. But then Nintendo announced that its new system, the Nintendo 64, would use cartridges, not CD-ROMs, as Square had hoped. The game Square was developing was too the game Square was developing was too big to fit on a cartridge, so Square took Final Fantasy VII to Sony and its new CD-ROM based system, the PlayStation. Hey. After that, Final Fantasy VII only became more complex, with more stories, mini-games, and options. It set a new standard for video game storytelling, with dramatic cutscenes and even shocking character death. When released in Japan in January 1997, such a long time ago, Final Fantasy VII sold over 2 million copies in 3 days. What? 2 million copies in 3 days. Wow. Nearly 10 million copies would be sold worldwide for the first PlayStation, helping to make it the world's top gaming system at the time. Still, Final Fantasy VII continues to be sold as a phone app, while a remake of the first part of the game was released in 2020 for PlayStation 4 and for PlayStation 5 in 2021. The next part is planned for early 2024. Discussion. What are your thoughts on the story of Final Fantasy VII? Actually, it's incredible. Top for like a long time. Have you played any of the Final Fantasy games? If so, which is your favorite? No, I haven't ever do those kind of games. What video games would you describe as masterpieces? I don't play, so I can't tell. What recent video games do you think will be considered classics someday? Tetris already, huh? If you were a game designer, what elements would you focus on to make your game successful? Can't even think of it. Further discussion. What was the first video game you played? なんかこんなちっちゃいやつでしたね. That was something small. I don't even remember. What's the most amount of time you've spent playing on a video game? I mean, I do those Tetris and like a number of games. And I can spend a long time if I really want to. Have you ever been disappointed by the highly appreciated, anticipated video game? No. Have you played any good remarks? No. Are there any old games you think should be remade, Well, now I noticed good remakes. Oh, no. Have you played any good remakes? No, yeah. Those kind of the game words I don't even understand. I think remake means something like a movie, the old one renewed.